A declaration from Ankara limiting access to the Dardanelles Strait for Russian and Ukrainian warships. Under the 1936 Montreux Convention, Turkey has control over the Dardanelles and Bosphorus straits connecting the Mediterranean and Black Seas, and can limit the passage of warships in the event of war. Ukraine has been asking Turkey to apply this measure since Russia's invasion began. Its implementation comes as further proof that Ankara has chosen its side in the conflict. Though less than a month ago, even as Russian troops were already massed at Ukraine's borders, the Turkish president took a more neutral position on a visit to Kyiv, offering to host a summit between the leaders of the two countries.
It was a very powerful, typically powerful call from Alexei Navalny for Russians to take to the streets. He said, we need to fight for peace. The Russians shouldn't be afraid of going to jail. And then he said, everything has its price, and now is the time to pay that price. He said, so this is Alexei Navalny speaking from jail, of course, where he's been for the last year. So that makes his message about not being afraid to go to prison that much more poignant. Although, of course, he and his team won't be on the streets because anybody that isn't in prison fled abroad last year under the threat of going to prison. Whether Russians will listen is another matter. We've had more than 6,500 people detained at anti-war protests in more than 50 cities since Russia invaded Ukraine.
One of so many towns and cities under relentless attack. And in Kharkiv, it's even worse. Here, the city's military airfield is destroyed. It's the start of another round of terror for Ukraine's second city. Its forces again trying to defend themselves and their civilians. Russian paratroopers are reported to be in the outskirts of the city, fighting with Ukrainian soldiers. In the capital Kyiv, the aftermath of a missile attack on the city's television tower. Wednesday saw a lull in the fighting, and many families took the opportunity to make their escape. Some of them getting to the outskirts by foot and finding bridges destroyed by Ukrainian forces to hold back Russian advances.
What happened?
What the hell was that?
It was a really bright light.
I know. I don't know. It's almost like lightning. Because it's a big flash and then...
nuclear. I'm not even joking. Whoa!
Ебать, опять сейчас!
More on the crisis in Ukraine now, and the United Nations General Assembly has voted to condemn Russia and called on Moscow to withdraw its troops. Only 5 countries voted against the resolution. China abstained. As lawmakers across the globe take aim at wealthy Russians, many are trying to lessen the economic blow of the tough sanctions.
Well, Peter, of all the Russian oligarchs associated with Vladimir Putin, few are more richer or as well known as Roman Abramovich. Now, as Western nations start to seize the assets of these Russian multi-billionaires, Abramovich is going to sell the mighty Chelsea Football Club. It's worth around $4 billion. He says he'll donate that money to a charity that will then fund the victims of the war in Ukraine. He's also trying to offload his mansion here in Kensington for about $300 million. Now, these Russian oligarchs around the world are in panic mode. Many are moving their super yachts to small island nations beyond the reach of sanctions. Too late for one Russian whose $600 million yacht has been seized by authorities in Germany.
Last weekend, as you saw, President Putin directed a special alert of Russian nuclear forces. Now, in this time of heightened tensions, the United States and other members of the international community rightly saw this as a dangerous and irresponsible, and as I've said before, an unnecessary step. Both the United States and Russia have long agreed that nuclear employment could have devastating consequences. And we both agreed, most recently this year, in the context of the P5 statement, that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought. The United States has not taken any similar steps. And so in an effort to demonstrate that we have no intention in engaging in any actions that could be misunderstood or misconstrued, the Secretary of Defense has directed that our Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile test launch, scheduled for this week, to be postponed.